All right, this video has a special place in my heart because this is a problem I struggled with, and this was also something that I overcame, and it helped me a lot as far as getting rid of blocks and hooks and having a tough time taking divots. Like I would hit the ball thin a lot. I would kind of sweep the ball off the ground. I have a very hard time with long irons. I could get away with it with driver, but mid to long irons were a nightmare for me. Okay, and a big reason of that is what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so if you're hitting blocks and overhooking the golf ball and thinning the golf ball, quite frankly, your club path is too far to the right of target. Okay, and a big reason that it's too far right of target is your chest is too far behind your pelvis relative to the target. So see how far my chest is behind my belt buckle from the target as you're coming into impact. Okay, so we have too much separation between our hips and our chest. What that does is it drops the club too much to the floor too soon. So the club wants to bottom out too much before the golf ball. So a lot of times players will miss the ground on the way through, but the club is all the way on it, already on its way up when it gets to impact. A lot of times, like for me included, I started to cheat this by throwing my ball position way back, but then I started struggling with shanks because the ball position was too far back, and if I had any sort of movement into the golf ball, it was very, very easy to hit the hosel. So again, if I have my upper body too far behind my pelvis relative to the target, the club's too close to the floor, the path is going to be far too much to the right, but more disastrously, the low point of the swing is happening well behind the ball. That's why you're struggling to take divots. You can get away with it, like I said, with short irons. You can get away with it with driver because you're hitting up on the ball with driver, but you can also snap hook the driver pretty easily as well. So the goal is to get our club path more down the target line, move our low point forward, and compress the ball. Really hit the ball and take a divot. Players that struggle with this, myself included, you have a very tough time taking divots after the golf ball and truly compressing the ball, okay? So what typically happens when the sternum is that far behind the pelvis, whether it's in setup or it happens in transition, you have far too much lateral sway with the lower body and not enough rotation of the body. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that. Either it happens in setup, so the chest is too far behind the belt buckle, or it happens in transition, or it happens both. If we have too much lateral sway with not enough rotation, the hands are going to drop too much. The upper body's going to drop too much. The club's going to be too close to the floor. We're going to swing too far to the right. We know what that does to the low point. Okay. Now, all of these things are shallower. So when the upper body is behind the pelvis, it helps us shallow the golf club. Okay. Now, that's a good thing when you're young and you're learning golf because we want to know how to hit a draw. We want to know how to hit from the inside. And a lot of times this is a better player's problem. But for us, we need to feel something to help us get our hands more out, get the club swinging more down on the golf ball, and feel as though we're swinging more down our target line, okay? So all of these things are shallowers, like I said. So the chest being that far behind the pelvis in the downswing, the lower body shifting, all of these things are shallowing the golf club. So we need something to steepen the golf club to help offset this. So for me and for a lot of players I've worked with that have dealt with this, they need to feel like a lot more rotation of the body. So you can see if I simply just stood here and I felt my pelvis and my rib cage start to rotate, it throws my hands more out in front of my body. Okay, so that's going to keep the club from hitting the floor too soon. It's going to help us hit down on the golf ball. And you'll also notice if I'm at the top of my swing and say I'm in a pretty good centered pivot here, if I start to think less about laterally shifting and more about rotating my body, my chest stays a little bit more on top of my pelvis. Now, in a perfect world, the chest is going to be 2 to 3 inches behind the pelvis at impact. We obviously don't want to be in a position where the chest gets in front of the pelvis. That makes no sense as far as getting the ball up in the air or swinging from the inside. But a lot of times players need to feel that to feel the extreme in the opposite direction to help get the club more out in front of them, help them hit it more down on it, and also swing less to the right, okay? So for me, what I like to do is I like to throw either an impact bag or a range basket roughly on a 40-degree angle. I mean, you don't want to make it too crazy, but I want to be in a position where I'm less incentivized to tip my upper body back, throw my left shoulder to the sky, and come too much from the inside in the backswing. So that's going to help me in the backswing. And then I like to take a pool noodle here and put it just inside the golf ball here on the other side to where I have to feel like I have to swing more down and leftward. Okay, so all of these things are making me feel like I'm swinging more around and low and left. Okay, so it's going to feel extreme for you. It's going to feel like you're coming over the top of the golf ball. But for players that already have so much lateral motion and the club dropping too much, you need to feel that to get to neutral. Okay, so for you to do that, we got the range basket here. Let's just call it just outside toe line. And we've got this alignment stick on the ground that's kind of matching the shaft's angle. So it's going to keep me from wanting to go down this way and then hitting this noodle. So anytime my upper body hangs back, lower body goes too far forward, I'm going to hit this impact bag and this noodle. But if I'm coming through and now I'm feeling a lot more rotation, see how my chest is more on top of my pelvis, that's going to help throw the club more out in front of me, help me swing onto this noodle. And you'll start to notice you really start to compress the ball, start to hit down on it, and you'll also notice that the ball doesn't start nearly as right. And this is a great feeling because your start line is going to be a lot more at where you're trying to go. You're going to see a lot less curvature to the golf ball because a lot of times players that are hung back this far and swinging that much to the right, the only way they can time up getting the ball back to their target is a ton of forearm rotation. And if your timing's off, you're going to block it way right if you don't square it soon enough, or snap hook it dead left. And it's a very hard way to play golf when you're not sure if you're going to blast it right or snipe hook it left. Now, the great thing about this also is the more your body rotates, the more passive the forearms are. So once we're kind of over this impact bag and under this pool noodle, you'll notice that there's not a lot of rotation to the forearms. So it's going to do three things. It's going to help us get the ball started at our target. It's going to help us compress the golf ball. And also, it's going to help us with some face control. So, and it's quite simple. Just don't hit the bag, don't hit the noodle. So all we're trying to do for players like this, we're feeling a little bit more over it, a little bit more across it. And it's great to just start with these little chippy ones. Now I'll move at a slow speed to start. I felt really on top of that golf ball. You see the ball started pretty straight at it. And it, even if it fades a little, that's actually a good thing for a player like this because you're so used to the ball starting here and just timing how you're going to curve it back. For players like this, like I would do this until you start seeing the ball started well left of your target and cutting back. Which the big thing that you'll really, really notice is how well your impact is, like how well you're going to compress the golf ball, how on top of the ball you're going to feel. You're going to feel a lot less like stuck back here, kind of, drop kicking it at times, sweeping the ground back here, and then never really compressing the golf ball. This is my favorite type of situation to try to help fix because it's something I went through in my own game. And it also gives you all the things I'm talking about. It creates a different type of ball flight, a different type of feeling when you hit the ball, and then also just a different level of face control. And once you kind of trust that compression, the ball starting where you want it, and that face control, it takes a lot of fear out of blocks and hooks. And also, when you feel that compression, it's such a great feeling compared to thinning the golf ball, especially with a 4, 5, 6 iron, which for me were a nightmare when I was going through this. So set yourself up a station, start adding some rotation, miss the impact bag, miss the noodle, and you'll get rid of those blocks, hooks, and fins.